and welcome back to my small little library. Today we're gonna talk about the books I've read in October, which the month has gone exactly as I thought it would go. I did not get through my TBR and I had less time to read than I would have loved to, but because I was on vacation, I turned 30. October was just a month like full of stuff for me. Yeah, I didn't get around to read as much as I would have liked to. Hi, little one. So yeah, if you can hear the dog, he just came to me because my partner just left. So if you can hear the dog, I'm not sorry because he lives here, you know. But I just wanted to let you know if you can hear anything, it's a dog. So yeah, I'm gonna put the number of books I've read in the month here. I haven't counted yet, but they were all small books. I did not read a big book this month. 2 stories I read were short stories. The rest were just really average, like 300 pages, roughly around there. So yeah, let's start talking about the books. So the first book I've read in October was Alien Nightmare Asylum. I really liked it. I gave this one 4 stars. It is our main characters, which are Wilkes, Billy, and Bueller. They left Earth, which is overrun by aliens at this point, and they tried to find somewhere where they could go because they were just in space on a spaceship they got out of Earth. And so they find their way to like a military installation, and they find out that the general who like oversees the operation is training aliens because he thinks he can make them kill the aliens on Earth, and that is his idea. Everything goes to shits from there, obviously. I really liked it. I felt like the book was really well balanced between the military stuff and the alien stuff. So for me, that worked out really, really well. It is also by Steve Perry, which I have read one other book by him, also in the Alien series, which I also really, really liked. So yeah, 4 stars for this. 4 stars for this one. It's a great read. I really enjoyed it. I know that the book's kind of like people are 50-50 on the books. I can understand that, though I think if I kind of treat them as 2 different things, the books and the movies, and so for me it works out quite well. But I do get if you are like a movie watcher and you don't love the books as much. Then I had a really disappointing read, which was Anno Dracula by Kim Newman. This is pretty much like a sequel to Dracula, but not really, because here Dracula lives through the first story and he marries himself to Elizabeth. So he is pretty much the king, or like he's the queen's consort, I think is the real name for it. And then he brings his vampires to London, and London has this problem of like people and vampires and merging the two. And then we have Jack the Ripper, who is killing the newborn vampires on London Street, which they are also prostitutes. I mean, what is also, we don't know if Jack the Ripper killed only prostitutes. It was a little bit harder to tell back in the times because of how they treated women. But in this part, Jack the Ripper kills prostitutes, which are newborn vampires pretty much. I felt the book was way too much because there were so many fictional characters crammed in here, authors, stuff like that. They were just named by name in the book, like they were introduced and then they never came up again. And I think we have like 50 or so like that, or even more. It was just way too much. It really wasn't enjoyable. I didn't like the ending. It was, we also get to know who Jack the Ripper is right from the beginning. There's no mystery in there at all. But we also get the story of the people who try to find out who Jack the Ripper is. So for me, it just didn't work out. It just really wasn't for me. I don't think it's a good version of Dracula or a continuation of Dracula. I do know that there are more books in this series, which, I won't read, obviously. There's also this kind of like shape-shifting thing where vampires turn into kind of werewolves, and it was really weird. I think the book just wanted to do too much and it didn't work out for the book, so 2 stars from me. I don't know, you can't love every book, right? After that, I went back to the Alien series and read The Female War, which is the book that comes after Nightmare Asylum. So this is part 3 of that series, which is by Steve Perry and Stephanie Perry, so him and his daughter. This is where... No, so this is the one that is pretty much the 3rd movie as an alternative, because here Ripley is back again. Right, she comes in at this book. They kind of merge in my head, to be honest, a little bit. So this one we have our main characters from the last book, the ones that survived, and they meet Ripley on a station where they come to, and they try to rid Earth of the aliens. That is their end goal in the end. I gave this one 3 stars. I felt like the balance was a little bit off. I didn't enjoy it quite as much as the one before. It felt a little bit weird because there is like some telepathy that comes in there, and I feel like for what it is, it got a little bit too outlandish at parts. And this is a lot less action filled than the one before, and I do prefer the alien novels that have like a lot of action rather than the one where there's a lot of planning and stuff like that. I do just like aliens versus humans and they shoot each other. That is pretty much what I love the most from the Alien series, so that one was a little bit less of that. So I gave 3 stars because I liked it a little bit less than the one before. Then I listened to an audiobook which is called A House with Good Bones by T. Kingfisher. This is the cover of the book. I had difficulty loving this book. I like T. Kingfisher and her writing style. I was really surprised at the beginning. I really liked the beginning and the main character, who is... Oh, I forgot the name again. She has a doctorate in insects, pretty much, and she goes on archaeological digs and analyzes the insects that they find there. That's her job. And her job gets like put on hold, the dig that she was supposed to go to. So she goes to her mother and lives there for a while, and her mother behaves really weirdly. She does things she would never do because the grandmother, like, she has a racist grandma, and the grandma is dead now, but the mom is like behaving as if the grandma was still there. And then there are coming like spooky things in there. So it is a gothic haunted house novel pretty much. The thing is that at the beginning I loved that the horror was like really insect related. It fit so well, it worked really well. But like it got boring after a while, and then the ending in the second half of the book was really similar to another book I've read. So that really confused me, you know. The books came out at a similar time, so I think it's just 2 people having a really similar idea. But because I read the other book before that, it felt too similar and it really got me out of the story. It just really didn't work at that point for me anymore, because I just, you know, I was really confused with the other book, and then I didn't really enjoy that so much. So yeah, I gave it 3 stars. It wasn't a bad book. I did enjoy the beginning especially, but yeah, the ending I felt like was just weird, and I didn't particularly enjoy it because of the similarities. And I know you shouldn't compare books, but it was just such a similar theme. And yeah, the horror got a little bit boring towards the end, which was also not helpful to like flesh out the ending, you know. So yeah, I don't know. I'm a little bit 50-50 on the book. So I gave it 3 stars because I think the beginning is really good. It's just the ending that didn't work out for me so well. After that, I realized that Dean Koontz is just not for me, because I read Winter Moon by Dean Koontz, and I have no idea, but I thought that was supposed to be more like a fantasy horror book, which this is not. It is a sci-fi horror book, and it has aliens in there, which, to be honest, if you see this cover, would you think there are aliens in this book? You wouldn't, right? I thought about werewolves and stuff like that. Instead, it's aliens. I gave it 2 stars. I didn't really like it. Mostly because of the ending. The ending voids the complete book for me personally. It was just really bad in my opinion. I don't know. It's not what I would want in an ending for a book like this. We pretty much have a cop and his family. The cop shoots somebody who shoots up a gas station, and the guy the cop kills, who nearly kills the cop in return, was like an up-and-coming director, I think. And so he has a lot of people rallying around him and being like, oh, the cop like killed him for no reason, even though there is like security footage and stuff like that. It is really confusing. I have no idea how that works. I mean, if you're American, it might make a little bit more sense to you with like your justice system because this plays in America, but for me it was just really weird. And then the cop needs to learn to walk again and stuff like that, and him and his wife never feel safe again in the city, and then they, out of the blue, pretty much get an inheritance from the father of a friend of the cops. The friend died in, like, at the job a year before, I think, and then the father dies of a heart attack, and he leaves everything to the cop. And so they move out of the city into like this really, really rural part of the town, and then there comes the aliens. And from there on out, the book was just out the window. I don't know. I didn't get it. It was really, really weird. The aliens behaved really, really weirdly. I didn't get it at all. And then the ending is incredibly disappointing and voids all that happens in the book, kind of. And so I felt like it was a really wasted read, to be honest. Like, I really did not enjoy it. So, Dean Koontz, not for me. I'm not gonna read another book by him. These were this was the second one by him that I read, and the only two I ever owned. So yeah, no more Dean Koontz for me. I'm sorry. I don't think his writing is for me. So yeah, I gave it 2 stars if I haven't already told you. Then I did a reread of The Picture of Dorian Gray. Loved it. 5 stars. If you want a really, really good pretentious book, read The Picture of Dorian Gray. I love how they talk and what they talk about. Like, I love it. It's fantastic. So yeah, 5 stars all around, always. After that, I did buy myself a new book, and I directly read it after buying it, and that was Fahrenheit 451, which is by Ray Bradbury. This I felt like was really, really interesting. I gave it 4 stars. I really liked it. The concept is kind of like this dystopian future where firemen start fires instead of stopping them, and they start fires in the houses of people that have books, because books aren't allowed anymore. And our main character is a fireman, and he meets this girl who gets him to think and to realize how lonely and sad he feels. And then this kind of unravels him, and he starts hoarding books and starts reading them and starts being really bad at his job. And then things go from there. I really liked it. I think it's a really, really good dystopian novel. Talking about, what happens if the dumb majority kind of like gets to rule, more or less, which sounds really bad if you say it like that, but the book explains it a little bit better than I can, to be honest. But yeah, I really liked it. I gave it 4 stars. It was really interesting. I don't know if there was ever like a continuation. I don't think so. But it has kind of an open ending a little bit, which I don't know. I would have enjoyed more of the story, but it is a really, really short classic, I would say, which just has a really enjoyable story. I just would have loved a little bit more, And then we have the last 2 books, which are 2 ebooks I read that were on my Kindle. Both of them are by John Scalzi, which I really enjoy his writing. So yeah, the first one I read was The President's Brain is Missing, which is a short story about the president's brain going missing, and the president kind of really doesn't notice that much. And then our main character has to find out what happened there, and he works for the president, but he then, gets a little bit of an introduction into the Secret Service and all of the things that they do. I gave that 3 stars. It was kind of funny. It was really, really short. Yeah, it was just, how do you say it in English? It was just there for the entertainment, I would say. It's not a brilliant book, but it was entertaining. The next short story I read was The Shadow War of the Night Dragons, Book 1, The Deck City. That is a short story that kind of makes fun of fantasy a little bit. Our main character is a guard, pretty much, and he works, for the king in the city, and there's this this legend about night dragons and them coming in the night and like killing people, and that you can't really, you can't have light on because then the night dragon would find you, but they also can, see in the dark. So it's like this really, really weird thing. It makes kind of fun about fantasy novels and the weird kind of monsters they sometimes have in them. And then it's also kind of makes fun about like kings in fantasy novels, like making people disappear and stuff like that, and that you know, sometimes legends are like, oh, do they exist? Do they not exist? I found it to be quite funny, to be honest. I can't really explain it really good because it was also really, really short, but the shortness kind of worked for the book. It also has like this narrator and the city and the river next to the city. They just have like really similar sound, and it sounds really funny if you read it out loud. So it is definitely like a comedy novel, I would kind of say, you know, like a fantasy comedy novel. And I really liked it, so I give it 4 stars. I found it amusing and I liked it as like light entertainment. It worked really well for like a travel day, so yeah, I was really happy with reading that. So those are all of the books I read in October. As you can see, uh, not the most, but also not totally nothing. So yeah, it was kind of like, you know, in between there. So hopefully in the next month will be a little bit more productive. Hopefully in the next month will be a little bit more productive when it comes to my reading, but I did manage to read quite a, well, at least a little bit, you know, so I'm happy with that. And I did get to read out a few, like Dean Koontz, for example, as an author I wouldn't buy anything else from, so that is also really good. That means I get through a little bit more of my TBR, which is what I want, you know. So yeah, thank you for watching all of these mini reviews of these books. If you have read any of these books and have an opinion about them, please leave it down below. Tell me what you thought of the books if you have read them. And thank you for watching, and hopefully I will see you in the next video. Bye!